My boyfriend hid cameras in my bathroom and bedroom, then told me I was the problem for not letting him heal. When I finally stopped him, he smirked and said, "You can't protect them from all of us." I stayed silent. That was 6 months ago. This morning, he was screaming at a judge about his rights as they locked the courtroom doors, what his trust issues actually were and where they came from. 6 months into dating Brian, everything seemed perfect. As a divorced mom of 2 teenage girls, I was vulnerable, and he knew exactly how to play me. When he asked to install security cameras in my house because his ex cheated and he had trust issues, I told him absolutely not. My daughters deserve privacy. And he got this look in his eyes that I should have recognized as rage, but he covered it so quickly with hurt. He sulked for days, making these comments about how his ex understood his trauma and helped him heal. He made me feel like the bad guy for protecting my own children. My girls started acting strange around month 3. Milan, my 16-year-old, started changing clothes in her closet. Mary, 14 years old, suddenly couldn't use public bathrooms and her counselor called about anxiety attacks. When I asked why, they told me something just didn't feel right. When I brought it up to Brian, he said they were acting out because they didn't respect me as a single mother. He actually convinced me I was the problem. He gave me all his passwords and social media to prove he trusted me, while saying I was the paranoid one. I didn't even ask for them. 3 months later, Milan complained her room was stuffy. She went to check the AC vent and pulled out a camera. A camera pointed at her bed. She screamed at me and accused me of violating her privacy, and I felt my world tilt because I never installed anything. We found 4 cameras in total. Her room, Mary's room, their bathroom, and one aimed at my bed. We found the hard drive keeping all the footage in my closet. 3 months of footage all labeled with sick descriptions of my daughter's bodies. The bathroom footage had timestamps for every shower, every private moment. I vomited when I saw the folder labeled archive with footage from other houses, other girls, other mothers who trusted him. The police said it's federal now because minors were recorded. I found out while we were at the station. He figured out we knew and ran. My neighbor called saying she saw him speeding away like the coward he is. Then the detective told me the real reason for the cameras. He'd been selling my daughters, my babies, on the dark web. 500 to 5,000 views per video. Premium subscribers paying monthly for access to my children. $200,000 he made selling their innocence. He had customers requesting specific content, and he'd been manipulating us to create it. Every gift, every kind gesture was calculated to get sellable footage. He texted me that night and said I'd destroyed an innocent man and I'd pay. The detective traced it to a burner phone, but Brian was gone. Want to know the worst part? He's a youth coach at the gym where half the neighborhood's daughters train. He had access to vulnerable kids and parents who trusted him completely. The detective admitted they'd had a complaint before, but his reputation was too good. Other mothers came forward with feelings they'd ignored because how could such a good man be dangerous? My Milan destroyed her room, ripped apart everything he'd touched, sobbing that she felt dirty. My baby girl feels dirty in her own skin because of him. Mary won't eat, won't leave my side, and wakes up screaming that someone's watching. I check every vent, unplug every electronic, and sleep by the door, but it doesn't matter because the damage is done. The school became a nightmare of whispers and stares. Milan got suspended for breaking a girl's nose who said something cruel. Our church is split down the middle. These people watched my daughters grow up, and they're defending the man who sold videos of them showering. Months of therapy, and we're barely surviving. Police say he's using his knowledge of troubled teens to hide with sympathizers, and I believe it because that's what predators do. They protect each other. One night we were trying to have a normal evening, just pizza and a movie, pretending we're not broken. Then the back door slammed shut. He was in my kitchen, eyes wild with rage, saying I ruined his life and took everything from him. He asked if I really thought he'd let me get away with that. I pushed my girls behind me as he reached into his jacket, and I thought, this is it. This is how we die. Because I couldn't protect them before, and I can't protect them now. I frantically backed my daughters toward the bathroom, pushing them through the doorway while keeping my body between them and Brian. My hands shook as I fumbled with the lock, finally getting it to click just as his footsteps reached the hallway. Milan clutched Mary against the far wall while I pressed my back against the door, feeling it shake as he pounded on the other side. The wood splintered around the lock with his third kick. The door burst open, slamming me into the sink. Pain shot through my ribs, but I scrambled back to my feet, spreading my arms to shield my girls. Brian stepped through the broken door frame, but instead of a weapon, he pulled out a small black flash drive. You want to destroy me? He held the drive between 2 fingers, waving it like a trophy. This contains every single video I ever took, your precious daughters in their most private moments. And if you don't call off this investigation right now, I'll upload everything online with their full names, their school, their social media handles. Everyone will see exactly what Milan and Mary look like when they think no one's watching. Mary whimpered behind me, but Milan shifted slightly. From the corner of my eye, I caught her sliding her phone from her pocket, angling it carefully. Her thumb moved across the screen with practiced precision while keeping the device hidden behind my back. You're sick, I spat at Brian, trying to buy time. Those are children, my children. They're products now. His smile made my skin crawl. Products that thousands of people have already paid to see. You think destroying my equipment changes anything? My customers have backups of everything. They know your address, your routines, where the girls go to school. Milan's breathing quickened behind me. I heard the faint sound of her phone connecting to something, then her whispered voice barely audible over my heartbeat. Please help us. He's here. He's threatening us. Brian's face changed as he registered what was happening. He lunged forward, grabbing for Milan's phone, but she twisted away and held it high. The screen showed her Instagram live with viewer count climbing rapidly. Comments flooded in as her followers realized this wasn't a prank. You little bitch, Brian snarled, reaching over me. I shoved him back with strength I didn't know I had. Don't you dare touch her. His eyes darted between us and the phone, calculating. The distant sound of sirens made him freeze. Multiple sirens coming from different directions. Milan's viewers had called from all over town, giving our address, describing the emergency. This isn't over. Brian backed toward the door, his face twisted with rage. You'll never be free because my customers already have everything. They know where you live, where you shop, where the girls go to school. Every time you leave this house, someone will be watching. Every time they're alone, someone will be waiting. You can't protect them from all of us. He turned and ran, his footsteps pounding down the hallway. The front door slammed so hard the walls shook. Through the bathroom window, I watched his car tear out of the driveway just as the first police cruiser rounded the corner. Milan's phone kept recording as she collapsed against me, her whole body shaking. The viewer count had reached thousands, comments pouring in with offers of help, expressions of horror, promises to share the video as as evidence. Mary pressed against my other side, her face buried in my shirt. "He's gone," I whispered, though the words felt hollow. "He's gone." But his final words echoed in my mind. His customers had everything. They knew where we lived. Even with Brian caught, we'd never truly be safe. The nightmare wasn't ending. It was evolving into something worse. Anonymous predators with our address, our schedules, our daughter's most vulnerable moments saved on their hard drives. The police burst through our front door, calling out for us. Milan ended her live stream and we stumbled out of the bathroom on unsteady legs. Officers swarmed our house while paramedics checked us for injuries. Detective Morrison, who'd been handling our case, looked grim as Milan showed her the recorded video. "We'll get him," she promised. "That video is evidence of blackmail, breaking and entering, threats against minors. He won't get far." But I saw the concern in her eyes when I told her about the customers, about Brian's claim that they had everything. She made notes, promised to investigate, but we both knew the truth. You can't arrest shadows. You can't prosecute usernames hidden behind encryption. That night, we couldn't stay in the house. My sister drove 2 hours to pick us up, and we huddled together in her guest room. Milan kept checking her phone, reading messages from classmates who'd seen the live stream. Some offered support, others asked invasive questions. Mary hadn't spoken since Brian left, just clung to me like she had when she was small. "Mom," Milan whispered in the darkness. "What if he was telling the truth? What if those people really know where we live?" I didn't have an answer that wouldn't terrify her more. Instead, I pulled both my girls closer, feeling their heartbeats against mine. We'd survived tonight, but Brian's words haunted me. His customers were out there, anonymous faces behind screens who'd paid to violate my daughter's privacy. How many were in our town? How many had driven past our house, memorizing the layout? The detective called the next morning. They'd caught Brian at a gas station 50 miles away, but he wasn't talking. His laptop was encrypted, his phone wiped clean. Without his cooperation, they couldn't identify the customers who'd bought the videos. We were safe from Brian, but not from his network of predators. "We need to move," I told my sister over coffee while the girls slept. "Start fresh somewhere else." "With what money?" She squeezed my hand. "And how do you know they won't find you anyway? If these people are as connected as he claimed." She was right. Running would drain our savings without guaranteeing safety. We needed a different solution, but I couldn't think past the fear clouding every thought. My daughters deserved to feel secure again, to walk through the world without wondering who might be watching, who might recognize them from those stolen videos. Milan joined us in the kitchen, her phone clutched in her hand. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. "Mom, I've been thinking, what if we use this attention to fight back?" "What do you mean?" She showed me her Instagram. The live stream video had been shared thousands of times. Messages of support flooded her inbox, many from other victims of similar crimes. People want to help. They're angry. What if we don't hide? What if we make it impossible for those creeps to hurt us by making sure everyone's watching out for us? It was brave and terrifying and possibly our only option. If we couldn't hide from Brian's customers, maybe we could make ourselves too visible to target, too protected by community awareness to approach. But first, we had to go home. We had to face the house where it all happened, reclaim our space, and figure out how to build a life under the shadow of anonymous threats. The girls needed to see me be strong, even though I felt anything but. Detective Morrison met us at the house with a security expert. They swept for new cameras, checked all the locks, installed motion sensors. Neighbors stopped by with casseroles and offers to keep watch. The gym where Brian coached had fired him immediately and offered free self-defense classes to all the girls he'd had access to. That night, we moved our mattresses into the living room again. None of us could face our bedrooms yet. Mary finally spoke, her voice small and broken. "I hate him." "Me too, baby." I smoothed her hair. "Me too." Milan sat cross-legged beside us, laptop open. "I found something. There's a group online for families like us, people whose private images were sold without consent. They have resources, lawyers who work pro bono, therapists who specialize in this trauma." Hope flickered for the first time since Brian's threats. We weren't alone. Other families had survived this, had found ways to protect themselves and heal. It wouldn't be easy or quick, but maybe we could build something stronger from these broken pieces. The next few days blurred together. Legal meetings, therapy sessions, security upgrades. Milan's live stream had gone viral enough that news outlets started calling, but we declined interviews on advice from our lawyer. We needed to focus on healing, not publicity. But the threats Brian warned about began manifesting in subtle ways. Unmarked cars driving slowly past our house, pizza deliveries we didn't order, phone calls that disconnected when we answered. Each incident was reported, but without concrete evidence, police couldn't act. "We need to be smarter than them," Milan announced one evening. She'd spent hours researching, connecting with other survivors online. "These creeps rely on fear and isolation, but we're not isolated anymore." She was right. The community response had been overwhelming. Parents from the gym organized neighborhood patrols. Teachers at school created safe spaces for the girls between classes. Even the church members who'd initially defended Brian had come around after seeing the live stream video. But would it be enough? As I tucked my daughters into our makeshift living room camp that night, Brian's words echoed again. "You'll never be free." His customers were still out there, waiting, and we had to find a way to live despite that shadow. The first package arrived 3 days later, a plain brown box on our doorstep with no return address. Milan spotted it through the window during breakfast and froze, her spoon clattering against her bowl. Mary's eyes went wide as she followed her sister's gaze. "Stay here," I commanded, grabbing my phone to call Detective Morrison. She answered on the second ring and told us not to touch anything, that she'd send someone immediately. The officer who arrived wore gloves as he carefully opened the box. Inside were printed screenshots from the videos Brian had taken, dozens of them, arranged chronologically, with handwritten notes in the margins describing what the viewer had enjoyed most. My stomach churned as I glimpsed the timestamps before the officer quickly closed the box. "We'll test for fingerprints," he assured us, but his expression suggested he didn't expect to find anything useful. These people knew how to stay hidden. That afternoon, Milan's phone buzzed with a notification. Someone had created a fake Instagram account using screenshots from her stolen videos as profile pictures. The account had already followed her classmates, sending them messages with links we didn't dare click. Milan deleted the notification with shaking hands, but we all knew blocking one account wouldn't stop them. Mary retreated further into herself, spending hours curled in the corner of the living room with headphones on, trying to block out the world. She flinched whenever the doorbell rang, even when it was just our neighbor Katharina bringing another casserole. The woman had become our unofficial guardian, sitting on her porch with her coffee every morning, watching every car that passed. "I've got 3 daughters of my own," Katharina told me one evening. "What happened to your girls could have happened happened to mine. We're not letting those monsters win. Her determination helped, but it couldn't stop the escalation. Someone had been calling Mary's school, asking about her schedule, claiming to be a relative needing to pick her up early. The school secretary, thankfully alert after our situation became known, refused to provide any information and reported each call. Milan threw herself into research, connecting with other survivors online. She discovered patterns in how these networks operated, how they tested boundaries before escalating. The packages and fake accounts were just the beginning, meant to remind us they were watching, that they could reach us whenever they wanted. There's a girl in Ohio, Milan told me one night, showing me a message thread. Same thing happened to her. The harassment went on for months until her family fought back publicly. The creeps hate exposure. They scattered when her story went viral and law enforcement started connecting dots between victims. But going public meant sacrificing what little privacy we had left. It meant my daughter's trauma becoming public knowledge. Their names forever linked to this nightmare in search results. Milan seemed ready for that fight, but Mary could barely leave the house without panic attacks. The second package arrived a week later, this time containing a USB drive and a note. Such beautiful daughters. Would be a shame if their classmates saw everything. The threat was clear. Comply with their sick desires or face public humiliation. Detective Morrison's team analyzed the USB, finding it contained edited versions of the stolen videos with my daughter's social media profiles edited into the corners. The technical sophistication suggested we weren't dealing with random perverts, but an organized group that had done this before. We're building a case, Morrison assured me during one of our many meetings. Every piece of evidence helps us map their network, but I need you to understand, these investigations take time. Time we didn't have. The psychological warfare was taking its toll. Milan had started sleeping with a baseball bat beside her bed, jumping at every creak in the house. Mary's grades plummeted as she missed more school, unable to face the building where anonymous calls asked about her schedule. One evening, while attempting another normal family dinner, Milan's phone lit up with notifications. Someone had posted her school schedule in a forum we'd never heard of, along with photos taken from across the street showing her walking to the bus stop. The images were recent, from that very morning. They're following us, Milan whispered, her face pale. They know our routines. I called Morrison immediately. She dispatched patrol cars to sweep the neighborhood, but whoever had taken those photos was long gone. The forum post was deleted within hours, but not before Milan screenshot everything for evidence. That night, none of us slept. We huddled together in the living room, taking turns watching the windows. Every passing car made us tense. Every shadow could be someone watching, waiting for an opportunity. The breaking point came when Mary received a package at school. Someone had figured out her locker combination and left printed photos inside with a note. You looked prettier when you didn't know about the cameras. She collapsed in the hallway, sobbing uncontrollably until the nurse called me. I found her in the principal's office, curled into herself, refusing to speak. The principal, a kind woman named Vicky who'd known my girls since kindergarten, had tears in her eyes as she handed me the evidence in a sealed bag. We're increasing security, she promised, but maybe it would be best if the girls did remote learning for a while. The suggestion felt like defeat. They were stealing my daughter's normal lives piece by piece. First their privacy, then their sense of safety, now their education and social connections. But what choice did we have? Milan refused to accept it. That night, she called a meeting with her online support group, broadcasting from our living room. 20 other survivors joined the video call, sharing their stories and strategies. A woman named Min from Seattle had successfully exposed her harassers by documenting everything and building a public case that law enforcement couldn't ignore. They want us scared and silent, Min explained. But silence is what protects them. When we speak up, when we connect the dots between cases, that's when they lose power. The group helped Milan create a comprehensive document linking the harassment patterns across multiple cases. Phone numbers used for threatening calls, similar language in notes, technical signatures in the fake accounts. The evidence suggested at least a dozen families were being targeted by the same network. Mary listened from the doorway, not ready to participate, but drawing strength from hearing others who'd survived similar ordeals. When one girl described how her family had reclaimed their lives by refusing to live in fear, Mary stepped into the room. I want to help, she said quietly. I'm tired of being scared. Together, my daughters began documenting everything. Milan taught Mary how to screenshot and archive evidence safely. They created detailed timelines of every incident, cross-referencing with other victims to find patterns. Their shared purpose seemed to strengthen them, transforming fear into determination. But the harassers noticed the change. The packages increased in frequency, now containing photos taken inside local stores where we shopped, images of us captured when we thought we were safe. Someone had followed us everywhere, documenting our attempts at normal life. One photo particularly chilled me. It showed Mary at her therapy appointment, taken through the office window. These people knew our schedules, our safe spaces, our support systems. They were showing us that nowhere was beyond their reach. Morrison's team worked tirelessly, but the perpetrators used sophisticated methods to hide their identities. Burner phones, VPNs, packages dropped at different locations to avoid security cameras. They'd learned from Brian's mistakes, staying shadows instead of revealing themselves. We need more, Morrison admitted during a particularly frustrating meeting. Without identities, we can't make arrests. We need someone to slip up, leave real evidence. That slip came from an unexpected source. Katharina, our vigilant neighbor, had installed her own security system after our ordeal began. She'd been reviewing footage when she noticed a pattern. The same car, a dark sedan with mud-covered plates, appeared before each package delivery. Got the bastard on video, she announced, showing us clear footage of a man placing a package on our porch. His face was partially visible, enough for facial recognition if he was in the system. Morrison's team ran the image immediately. Within hours, they had a match. Benjamin Walsh, arrested 5 years prior for possession of illegal content involving minors. He'd served minimal time and disappeared after release, but his connection to our case opened new investigative avenues. He's not working alone, Morrison explained, but now we have a thread to pull. Financial records, known associates, digital footprints. This is the break we needed. The investigation accelerated, but so did the harassment. They knew we were closing in. The packages became more threatening, containing detailed plans of our house layout and notes about vulnerabilities in our security. They wanted us to know they could get to us whenever they chose. Milan responded by intensifying her public campaign. She created a website documenting our experience, carefully omitting identifying details while exposing the harassment tactics. Other families contributed their stories, creating a resource for victims and law enforcement. The site gained traction quickly. Advocacy groups shared it. Journalists requested interviews. and most importantly, more victims came forward. Each new case added evidence to the pattern, making it harder for authorities to treat these as isolated incidents. Mary found her own way to fight back. She began writing, pouring her experiences into poetry that she shared anonymously online. Her words resonated with other survivors, creating a community of support that helped her reclaim some control over her narrative. "I'm not just a victim," she told me one evening. "I'm a survivor, and maybe my story can help someone else." Their courage inspired me, but the mother in me remained terrified. Every time they left the house, I wondered if they'd come back. Every notification on their phones made my heart race. We were fighting back, but at what cost? The answer came when Morrison called with news. Benjamin Walsh had been arrested trying to flee the state. In his car, they found hard drives containing thousands of videos, not just of my daughters, but of dozens of other children. His arrest led to 3 more within days, each revealing more of the network. "We're dismantling their operation," Morrison told us. "Your documentation, the public pressure, it's all working. They're making mistakes, turning on each other." But victory felt hollow when the packages continued arriving. Other members of the network, those still hidden, wanted us to know they weren't finished. The notes became more personal, referencing conversations we'd had inside our home, suggesting they had ways of listening we hadn't discovered. Milan's response was to go fully public. She gave an interview to a local journalist, using her real name, showing her face. The article went viral within hours, bringing national attention to the issue of digital exploitation and organized harassment. "I'm not ashamed," she declared in the interview. "They should be ashamed. Every person who bought those videos, who participated in terrorizing us, they're the ones who should hide." The public response was overwhelming. Offers of support flooded in from across the country. Tech experts volunteered to help secure our digital presence. Lawyers offered pro bono services. Other survivors reached out with their own stories of resilience, but exposure came with consequences. Our address was now public knowledge. Reporters camped outside. Strangers approached us in stores, some supportive, others invasively curious. We'd traded one type of vulnerability for another. Mary struggled with the attention, but found strength in the community of survivors Milan had helped build. She began attending virtual support groups, sharing her poetry, slowly reclaiming pieces of herself that trauma had stolen. The investigation expanded beyond our state. Morrison's team connected with federal authorities who'd been tracking similar networks. Our case became part of a larger operation targeting organized groups that exploited children through hidden cameras and digital distribution. "You've helped expose something massive," Morrison told us. "This network has been operating for years. Your courage in speaking up is helping us save other children." More arrests followed. Each suspect revealed additional connections, unraveling a web of predators who thought themselves untouchable. The media coverage put pressure on platforms to improve their detection and reporting systems. Advocacy groups used our case to push for stronger legislation protecting victims of digital exploitation. But the core truth remained. Those videos were still out there, somewhere in the dark corners of the internet. No amount of arrests could completely erase what had been stolen from my daughters. We had to learn to live with that violation while building something stronger from the wreckage. Milan channeled her anger into activism. She spoke at schools about digital safety, warning other teens about the predators who might target them. Her Instagram, once a source of terror, became a platform for education and empowerment. Mary's healing took a different path. She focused on art therapy, creating visual representations of her journey from victim to survivor. Her counselor said she'd never seen such powerful expressions of resilience from someone so young. "She's teaching me," the counselor admitted, "about strength, about refusing to let trauma define you." Our home slowly transformed from a crime scene to a sanctuary again. We redecorated everything, painting walls in colors the girls chose, filling spaces with new memories. The security system remained, but it felt like protection rather than prison. Neighbors continued their vigilance, but it became less about fear and more about community. Catherine and I organized block parties where families looked out for each other. Parents shared resources about digital safety. What began as a response to crisis evolved into genuine connection. The packages eventually stopped. Whether due to arrests or fear of exposure, the harassment dwindled. We still received occasional threats online, but Milan had become expert at documenting and reporting them. Each incident added to the case files, strengthening future prosecutions. "We're winning," Milan told me one evening as we reviewed the latest updates from Morrison. "Not just for us, but for every family they targeted." But winning felt complicated. We'd gained justice and community support, but lost innocence and privacy. My daughters were stronger but scarred. They'd learned too young that monsters were real and could hide behind screens and kind faces.